part of a food movement here in the Northwest, and there's a lot of other organizations taking on different pieces.
Lisa Taylor. I am the Children's Education Program Manager here for Seattle Tilth, and I recently finished writing a book called Your Farm in the City, which is an urban dweller's guide to growing vegetables and raising animals. So we're here in the Tilth Demonstration Garden kind of talking about urban farming and how Seattle Tilth fits into that whole movement. And I think that our main influence has been as an education group, and that's what we do. We inspire and educate folks to garden organically. And we've been doing that for over 30 years here at our site in Wallingford, and now we have a number of different learning gardens around the city. These learning gardens are active classrooms. They're full of displays that folks can replicate in their backyards. We complement those living displays with a whole menu of classes and experiential type of learning opportunities for folks who can come out, get their hands dirty, get some experience, and then take that experience home and start growing some food on their own.
Started off as a edible landscape company, started growing plants the second year because I wanted good quality plants for our clients, and mostly veggies then, and have expanded into all sorts of fun stuff. So over here we have kind of some typical veggies and herbs, lettuce and some herbs. This one here is a perennial herb and using fine salad mixes. Down here we have strawberries. This is an edible native plant called kinnikinnick. It's very drought tolerant, used as a medicine. Salal is an edible native plant, grows everywhere. Most people don't know it's even edible, and we kind of introduced them to that you can't eat the berries. Since a lot of people have shade in their yards over here, this is the shady table. A lot of the thimbleberries and salmon berries are also wild edible natives that people can cultivate. And then we have boysenberries and other caneberries, these golden raspberries. Delicious. They're very ornamental as well. They're a late season producer. And then over here we have blueberries and huckleberries. These are the evergreen huckleberries. It's a native berry. It's shade tolerant. It looks really nice. It's evergreen. It produces late, so it's a really great plant, favorite of ours. And then a whole bunch of blueberries, and we started carrying those last year. Maybe? Who doesn't like blueberries, really? Why are we not growing blueberries? We live in a great region. Tear out all your ornamental and non-food producing stuff and plant blueberries. They're ornamental and food producing.
So in general, you're not thinking of that green lawn as being a natural thing here in Puget Sound. Areas where people can turn it back into a native plantings or even grow food is going to be, you're getting back closer to a regime that's going to be more with the watershed health in terms of the water runoff. It's something that actually is a fairly recent development in human history to want to have a green lawn, and maybe even a kind of an American thing. And there are two issues. One issue is the issue of the chemicals you're using to sustain that yard, but the other issue is that when they do modeling of stormwater in a watershed, they actually consider a lawn, a grass lawn, as being impermeable. They don't see that water will actually soak in down to the ground. So, where you have flower beds, where you have gardens, you have compost, and it's actually like a sponge and it's going to soak the water up, is way better in terms of the runoff and the toxics that are getting out into the sound.
Our Neighborhood Farmers Market Alliance has been a nonprofit in Seattle since the early 90s. We started the U District Farmers Market and Columbia City Farmers Market, and then rolled out a bunch more farmers markets throughout the city. And so over the last 20 years, we've given sales opportunities to 300 local farmers, all in Washington State, all selling, for the most part, sustainably, if not organically grown produce, meats, eggs, dairy, and we've gone through the legislative process working with the city in Olympia to make that possible, to sell meats and cheeses from locally produced farm-raised animals and artisan cheeses at the market, which wasn't legal to do years ago, but we went through the process to make that possible. I think last year we did the bookkeeping anyway to move $200,000 worth of food stamps, farmers market nutrition checks, and other currencies, WIC, women and children. And then additionally, we donated about 55,000 pounds to local food banks. And the stuff that we're giving to the food banks they're not compostable. These are like bright, beautiful, like heads of lettuce this big kind of thing, and vegetables and meat and dairy and eggs. So really high quality stuff, the stuff that you need in your fridge when you're trying to stay, the health and the local food security is based on like the food being nutritious. It's not just filling you up, but filling you up the right way.
Food security is another issue. There's a number of folks who don't have access to fresh produce. There aren't grocery stores or farmers markets in their neighborhoods, but they might have a small patch of land, or they might just have a sunny spot on a sidewalk where they could set up a few containers. The notion is that we want to empower folks, and one of the things we found is if we can help them start a garden and get them on the road, that then they can start to be self-reliant and be able to grow some fresh produce for their families.
We're a mission-driven company. We want to help people of all incomes grow food and really be more self-sufficient, community self-sufficiency, food sovereignty, so we have control over our food, and our seeds, which is equally as important.
The notion that as soon as somebody in the neighborhood starts to garden, especially grow their own fruits and vegetables, and share a little bit of that, their excitement, maybe a little bit of the produce, maybe a few extra plant starts or some extra seeds, it is its own little stone in the pond, and it will ripple out. So by building those gardens in communities where they don't necessarily have a strong gardening culture, we are creating little ripples out among the communities. That's one of the reasons that we have a number of learning gardens, because the ripple gets a little bit thin from here, but then we've got another stone over at Bradner. Boom, we've got a ripple going there. I think the pea patches all around town help with that too. So when you start to walk around neighborhoods where there's an active garden culture, you start seeing people imitating each other, and it really builds. And again, that's another great community building sort of thing.
When I talk to people, like, how's your garden going? And they'll say, oh, I met this many people. And they won't even talk about the plants or the food. That'll be the second or third thing they say, which is really exciting.
I've been in the children's garden for years, and I'm a lifelong teacher and learner. And I think one of the best things we can do is to invite our children into the garden and invite them in and show them and get them participating in growing some of their own food. We're amazed every day. Actually, not amazed anymore, but others are amazed every day at what children will eat when they're invited to sample it in the garden. A child who would never eat anything green if they were sitting at the dining room table will eat plants that don't even look like food. They'll eat fennel, they'll eat sorrel, they'll eat flowers when they're invited and when they participate in the growing process. So there's a couple things. We're teaching them where their food comes from and how to eat it. We're also teaching them that it's fun and it's easy and they can do it too. And we're ensuring that the skills that we've kind of lost, we've only been off the farm for a couple of generations, but there's so many of us who don't know how to put a seed in the ground and how to grow it and what to do with it once it grows, when to harvest and that kind of thing. I think by teaching children and families, getting families involved especially, we ensure that we're teaching those skills. We're reskilling the generations to come, so we'll have more urban farmers or actual big scale family farmers or organic farmers.
But I'm really excited about the urban farm movement as far as like connecting people to the soil in that process and saying like this is important, this is something that I can have. I think there's a real privilege gap of people thinking they don't have the right to dig in the dirt in a good way. I think there's a big disconnect there, and I think that the you know, having those available not only in pea patches but in like reallocating public land to be like, this is for us, not just for you personally in your pea patch spot, but for us to do this together, and then donating that to food banks and you know, giving more to the community. I think that's gonna, you know, just blow up, you know, soon, if not already.
Yeah.
Yeah.